They laughed at her shoes, her second-hand blazer, the nervous tremor in her voice when she said she'd dropped out of Stanford. What they didn't know, she was about to become their boss and their worst nightmare. This is the story of Maya Chen, the woman who turned rejection into revenge, humiliation into power, and a single job interview into the most expensive mistake 3 executives would ever make. Because karma never misses. Maya Chen had $247 in her bank account the morning she walked into Pinnacle Marketing's glass tower in downtown Seattle. 26 years old, Stanford dropout, living in a studio apartment with a roommate who stole her groceries. But Maya had something else, a revolutionary algorithm that could predict consumer behavior with 94% accuracy. Code she'd written in her dorm room before her father's cancer forced her to drop out, before medical bills devoured their family savings, before she spent 2 years working 3 jobs just to survive. She clutched her laptop bag like it contained the crown jewels, because in many ways, it did. The algorithm was her ticket out, her chance to prove that brilliance doesn't require a diploma, that innovation can bloom in the darkest places. She'd sent Pinnacle Marketing her proposal 3 weeks earlier, a detailed breakdown of how her predictive model could revolutionize their client campaigns, increase conversion rates by 300%, save millions in wasted ad spend. They'd called her the next day. "We'd like to meet," the voice had said. This could change everything. Maya believed them. She spent her last $50 on professional clothes from Goodwill, practiced her pitch until 3 a.m., mapped out her commute twice to avoid being late. What she didn't know was that David Kim, Pinnacle's chief technology officer, had already seen her algorithm, had already decided to steal it. The interview was just theater. Maya arrived 15 minutes early. Perfect posture, prepared answers, the kind of desperate hope that makes your chest tight. The receptionist barely looked up. "Conference room B, they'll be with you." 20 minutes passed, then 30. When the door finally opened, 3 figures entered like vultures circling prey. David Kim, Sarah Morrison, head of strategy, Marcus Webb, vice president of operations. They looked at Maya like she was a stain on their marble table. "So," David said, not bothering to sit, "the Stanford dropout with the magic algorithm." Maya's throat constricted, but she stood, opened her laptop, began her presentation. "My predictive model analyzes 17 behavioral markers that traditional analytics miss. Shopping cart abandonment drops by..." "Stop." Sarah's voice cut like glass. "Did you actually think we'd hire someone who couldn't even finish college?" The room went silent. Maya's hands trembled as she closed her laptop. "Your algorithm is interesting," David continued, "but algorithms are worthless without the right team, the right leadership, the right pedigree." Marcus laughed, actually laughed. "Look at those shoes," he whispered to Sarah, loud enough for Maya to hear. "Walmart clearance?" Maya's face burned. The shoes were from Payless, 6 months old, the best she could afford. "Here's what's going to happen," David said, leaning forward. "We're going to pass on you, but we appreciate you bringing this to our attention. Really, very educational." The words hit like physical blows. Sarah stood, smoothed her $800 blazer. "Security will show you out." As Maya gathered her things with shaking hands, she heard Marcus whisper, "Ambitious little thing, isn't she? Probably thought she was the next Steve Jobs." More laughter. The elevator ride down felt like falling into hell. 47 floors of shame. Of knowing that somewhere above her, 3 people were probably already discussing how to replicate her work. On the street, Maya called her roommate. "How did it go?" Jessica asked. Maya couldn't speak. The words wouldn't come. She just stood there, watching Seattle's rain wash away 6 months of hope. But here's what David Kim, Sarah Morrison, and Marcus Webb didn't know about Maya Chen. She wasn't just brilliant, she was patient, and she had a very, very long memory. 3 weeks later, Pinnacle Marketing launched Predictamax, their revolutionary new consumer behavior algorithm. Maya watched the press release from her laptop, saw her code, her innovations, her 2 years of work branded as David Kim's genius. They'd stolen everything, changed a few variable names, added their corporate polish, but they'd missed something crucial. Maya had hidden a signature in her original code, a digital fingerprint that proved ownership. And she documented everything, every iteration, every breakthrough, every late night spent perfecting what they'd just claimed as their own. Most people would have hired a lawyer, filed a lawsuit, fought the system. Maya had a different plan. She opened her laptop, started typing. Not code this time, a business plan. If they thought her algorithm was valuable enough to steal, it was valuable enough to build an empire around. Maya spent the next 18 months working like a woman possessed. She improved her algorithm, made it faster, smarter, more accurate. While Pinnacle celebrated their stolen success, Maya was building something better. She lived on ramen and coffee, slept 4 hours a night, took freelance coding jobs to pay rent while secretly developing the most advanced predictive marketing platform the world had ever seen. And she wasn't working alone. Remember Jessica, her roommate, the one who'd seen Maya cry after that interview? Jessica happened to be a former Goldman Sachs analyst, who happened to have connections, who happened to believe that sometimes the best investments come from the deepest grudges. "You're going to need capital," Jessica said one night watching Maya code. "Real money, the kind that makes people pay attention." Maya looked up from her screen. Her eyes were bloodshot but determined. "How much?" "50 million should do it." Most people would have laughed. Maya just nodded. "Make the calls." What happened next would go down in Silicon Valley folklore. Maya didn't just raise 50 million, she raised 87 million. From investors who'd been watching Pinnacle's success with interest, who were very curious about the real genius behind Predictamax. And when Maya showed them her original code, her documentation, her proof of concept that was 3 generations ahead of what Pinnacle was using, the checks practically wrote themselves. But Maya wasn't building a competitor, she was building a weapon. Chen Dynamics launched on a Tuesday in October. By Thursday, they'd signed Microsoft, Amazon, and Netflix as clients. By the following Tuesday, Pinnacle Marketing's stock had dropped 23%. Maya's algorithm, the real version, not the stolen knockoff, was performing miracles. Conversion rates that made industry veterans weep. ROI numbers that redefined what was possible. Companies weren't just switching to Chen Dynamics, they were running from Pinnacle like it was radioactive. David Kim called an emergency board meeting. Sarah Morrison stress-ate antacids like candy. Marcus Webb started updating his LinkedIn profile. But Maya was just getting started. You see, when you build a company from scratch, you learn everything about the industry, including which companies are struggling, which ones are over-leveraged, which ones are perfect for acquisition. Companies like Pinnacle Marketing. The call came on a Wednesday morning. Maya was in her corner office, 49th floor, 2 floors higher than where she'd been humiliated 18 months earlier. When her assistant buzzed in, "Maya, Pinnacle's board wants to meet. They're interested in discussing acquisition opportunities." Maya smiled, the same smile she'd worn through 17 investor meetings, through 100 rejections, through every night she'd chosen revenge over sleep. "Schedule it for tomorrow, conference room B." The symmetry was too perfect to resist. Thursday at 2 p.m., 3 figures walked into Chen Dynamics conference room. David Kim, Sarah Morrison, Marcus Webb. They looked older, grayer, like men and women who'd spent months watching their life's work crumble in real time. Maya entered wearing a custom Armani blazer, Louboutin heels, The kind of outfit that costs more than most people's rent. She sat at the head of the table, opened her laptop, the same laptop she'd carried to their interview. Gentlemen, Sarah. The recognition hit like lightning. David's face went pale. Sarah's hands trembled. Marcus actually whispered, "Oh God." "I believe you wanted to discuss acquisition opportunities," Maya continued. "I'm prepared to make an offer." She turned her laptop screen toward them. The number glowed like a verdict. $127 million. Exactly what Pinnacle's board had valued the company at 6 months earlier. That's below market value," David stammered. "Market value assumes you have a market," Maya replied. "Your client retention is down 67%. Your stock price has fallen 40%. And I have it on good authority that Netflix is about to drop you for breach of contract." She paused. Let the words sink in. "I'm being generous." Sarah found her voice. "Maya, we didn't know it was you. If we had, you would have what? Treated me with respect? Stolen my work more politely?" Maya closed her laptop, stood. "I'm not here for apologies. I'm here for justice. You have 24 hours to accept my offer. After that, I'll let the market finish what you started." She walked toward the door, paused. "Oh, and David, when the acquisition goes through, you'll be reporting to our new director of innovation. She's a Stanford dropout, too. I think you'll find her very educational." The door closed behind her with a soft click. 23 hours later, Pinnacle's board voted unanimously to accept the offer. Maya Chen had gone from rejected job candidate to CEO of the company that rejected her. And her first executive decision? David Kim, Sarah Morrison, and Marcus Webb would be given the opportunity to experience the job market from an entirely new perspective. Some called it justice. Others called it revenge. Maya called it Tuesday. Today, Chen Dynamics is valued at over $2 billion. Maya Chen has been featured on the cover of Forbes 3 times. She's spoken at Harvard, MIT, and yes, Stanford. She keeps a photo on her desk. Not of her success, not of her awards. It's a picture of those Payless shoes, the ones Marcus Webb laughed at, the ones that walked her out of the biggest mistake of 3 people's careers. Because Karma doesn't wear designer heels. Sometimes it wears clearance shoes and carries a laptop full of dreams, and Karma never misses. If you believe in Karma too, subscribe and we'll see you in the next story.